Greetings, brothers and sisters. So I just spent the morning working on a Photoshop picture, which will probably, maybe, not probably, maybe be the first Pockets of the Future t-shirt. But anyways, I wanted to do a comment video. There's a bunch of comments I had to get to that are just building up, and if I don't do them soon, I'll just delete them. So I wanted to start off by saying there was a number of comments. I made a video maybe 2 nights ago that didn't get published till 3 a.m. and people are like, wow, you're up late. And I think most people a bunch of comments came in like that, and I think they assumed that I made the video at like 2 and then put it up at 3. And I thought about it, and that's what it would appear to somebody who sees that I uploaded a video at 3 or was published at 3 a.m. in the morning. But what actually happened was, and this is how misinformation and misunderstandings happen, so I wanted to just talk about it. Not that this really matters, but just the general idea of the thing. And so what happened was I made the video and I uploaded it at like 9 o'clock at night. I've been doing a lot of out there work on the farm, and so I've been putting up the videos a little bit later. And when I put it up, there was, I think, a copyright issue. There was some kind of issue with it. Oh, it was the Cleveland, what are they now? The Guardians. And there was a song in that video that caused a copyright issue. So I had to edit out that part of the video, and there's lots of jokes in there. I had to edit out a whole chunk. I was kind of bummed because there's some funny, what I thought were funny jokes in there. But I had to edit out about, 30 seconds, a minute of the video, and then re-render it and then re-upload it. And, by that time it was like, 12 o'clock. Maybe I took a nap or something, so I was up a little bit late. But then I started to get really sleepy, and it was only 40% uploaded. So I said, F this, I'll just release it in the morning. But I've been waking up after sleeping about an hour or two and being kind of wide awake and restless. I think it was maybe pre-gathering cleaning from the Heartfulness gathering, the Master Chargy gathering that was going on. And so I woke up, and it was 3 o'clock in the morning, and I couldn't go to sleep. I couldn't go back to sleep, so I just went out and I clicked publish. And so it's a much more, different story than one would assume, that I was up late making a video. The video was done probably by 8 or 9 o'clock that night, but by the time I went through all the crap, to get it up on to get it published on YouTube, it took 5 or 6 hours. So you can look at some of the facts, like the fact was it was published at 3, and make assumptions. And I think that's very indicative of what's happening in the news media and then people in the truth community. We get some facts, we get some general sense of something, and then we fill in what we consider what happened. But unless you're there, right, you never really know. So then there was this spectacular comment that was a great example on many levels. And so the person says, the cult you keep promoting is total BS, bro. Thanks, bro. This is the person's talking about heartfulness. And then it says, you have gurus, ? Men know more than you, ? Men who sit on a toilet know enough about life to teach you how to live it, ? What a sorry way to be. This is a general commentary on my whole life, or my whole orientation to my existence. And this Mensa candidate decided to put this into a comment to one of my videos. Your insights on the world situation are okay, but your constant promoting of your cult is obnoxious. We get it. You are a devotee of other men. Yea, there is only one God, and his name is Yahweh with no vowels, and he created the very flesh men you hold in high esteem. They are no better or smarter or have more insights than you do, bro. Yahshua is the way, he means Jesus, the truth and the life. Men are nothing but bags of bones and flesh. With a limited perspective, quit being a weakling and following men. This is my advice to you. Take it or leave it. Well, I'm going to leave it. Spoiler alert, I'm going to leave it. So there's a lot here. This is like a comment, a gift that keeps on giving. Now this dude is criticizing me for what he thinks is guru worship, and I'm going to, he didn't listen to the video, first of all, didn't understand it. I talked about this quite extensively, what a master means and what Guru Purnima Day is, right? Which is important, I was saying, not just in the context of heartfulness or if you live in India, but this is it's a universal thing, or at least an earthly thing, spending time with your teacher. And I forgot a big piece to this, which I'm hopefully going to remember to include here. Because as soon as I was done with the video, I was like, I meant to say that, this happens quite often. But the first piece to this is, this person's criticizing me for following a man, and he said, you shouldn't do that, that's being a weakling, follow Jesus, right? Or as he said, Yahshua. And what this person doesn't realize, which makes it even kind of more funny, which I've covered over and over in my videos, the Jesus you know through your religion, through the books, through the construct of your religion, is a construct of men. It's a brand. It is brand Jesus. It's not Jesus as a soul. It's not Jesus as an essence. And it's not even Jesus as a human being. It's the Jesus that they have marketed to you through indoctrinatory type of teachings and practices. This is, if you're a truther, you know how the people, the controllers, warp reality on so many levels, right? That the information you're getting in schools and in the news and in the history books and everywhere else is being warped and manipulated in science by the people who control the system. And so if you see that, then you also have to see this happened to all religions shortly after the master of that religion died. So Jesus died, and then it was in the hands of his disciples for a little bit. And now his disciples were bickering amongst themselves with their own interpretation of Jesus and Jesus' teachings. I've seen this in the heartfulness system. I've seen people, argue about the meaning that one of the masters of the heartfulness system has said, right? People have different perspectives, and people interpret the teachings of spiritual beings, right? The teachings get warped and twisted, and they change the words. I've documented this over and over again. This is factual. The Bible went through multiple linguistic translations and edits, right? And in the Council of Nicaea, and there was multiple of these types of councils, they decided to make Jesus the only path to God because it benefited their religion. And that's why John 3:16 came to mean what it means now. And it's something that you can prove to be false by just going and meeting somebody, finding somebody who does some sort of other practice and realize that they have God in them, they have a relationship with God and love, and that they are connected to God. You can see this in other people, and once you see that, you realize that John 3:16 is false, which is what my mom realized, right? When I was a little kid, I told that story. I was 12, 13 years old, and she looked at these indigenous people in, Ottawa, Canada, I think it was, and she said to me, how are these people going to hell? You could see God in them, or whatever she said. I don't know how she worded it, and I didn't know about John 3:16, so I didn't know what she was talking about. But I remembered it years later because she saw divinity in people who were not Christians. And so therefore, she realized that teaching was false. God showed her, gave her an experience, showed her God in other people, and then she realized that the teaching that she had, been part of her life and her belief system wasn't true. And then she later started the heartfulness system and experienced God through the heartfulness system. And so this is something that you can prove to yourself if you're open, and you can realize you've been indoctrinated and lied to by your, religion. But this dude is trying to drop me some solid advice here, right? Which I get a lot, right, from especially people who are Christian. Again, not all of them, just, some of them. But he doesn't even realize, doesn't have the ability to self-perceive and understand that he is doing something much worse and much more weak, right? One, by not throwing off his indoctrination, standing up to his whatever, the belief system that was force-fed him. But more importantly, he's accusing me of following men, and he's following a brand. He's following a brand created by manipulators, ungodly people that wanted power and wanted to create a spiritual monopoly on people, which caused so much pain and suffering. I mean, the disasters that has caused in peoples all over the world being, having Christianity forced on them in all these various cultures. It was a horrible thing that they did, which was not endorsed by Jesus. So he's not following Jesus. He's following the brand Jesus, the Yahweh brand, the Yahshua brand, as it's been marketed to him through his indoctrination. And he's trying to call me weak, right? Because he's not willing to, throw off his comfort zone of his indoctrination and his belief system that he's had since, I would assume since birth, right? Since his family upbringing, or maybe even before that in a previous existence. And so that's the first piece that's, ironic and funny. The next piece is, I was talking in the video how there is the master within everybody, the master that is, waiting to get out. That's the full expression of your soul, the manifestation of your soul. And then there's your ego, and that can be, the manifestation of a demon or a devil or something like that. And most people are a blend of both, right? Some people are more egotistical, some people are more soul-based. But when someone becomes a master, there is this, version of themselves, God's idealistic version of you that you have achieved, that you have realized, and your ego is minimized. And so when somebody calls one of the, the presidents of the heartfulness system master, or just approaches them in that way, they're pulling out the soul in the master. And you do that with other people, right? Sometimes you pull out the soul. Back when I worked with sex offenders, teenage sex offenders, they were horrible kids. I mean, just, bad on pretty much every level, selfish. And one of the things they wanted the kids to learn was empathy and compassion and thinking about other people. I mean, they were really selfish. Beyond their offending behaviors, they were miserable, grew up in crappy families and just, really crappy people. But you would see times where they would rise up and the higher part of them, the soul, would emerge. Just like if you're around a saint or a higher developed person, or you're one of those people yourself, you're gonna see them engage in egotistical and petty moments. It just happens. Saints have their ego moments, and demons have their soul moments, right? It happens. But if you are living in such a way, you want to pull out the soul of people, the higher developed consciousness in people. And you follow people all the time. Like people, you're taught things and you have whatever it is, religious instruction in this case, this person. You're taught things by other people's writings and books or videos. You're learning information. You're following that person's consciousness or their realization or their path, whatever it might be. And then you have teachers and coaches and people in your life. And without them, you're limited in your own ability to teach yourself and things like this. Most people, are limited, and they need teachers to help, push them, trainers and coaches and things in their life. And that was the thing I left out of the other video, that people in the West don't mind getting teaching and training, even though they are, they're a little bit disrespectful to their teachers. And there's always this fall from grace of a mentor, somebody who mentors you, and you put them up on a pedestal, and then later they show some human behavior, and you get a little bit older and you see through them a little bit, and they fall off the pedestal, and then you oftentimes think they're worse, right? You put them on the pedestal and they were better than you thought, and now you see some flaws in them and they're worse than you thought. This is a problem for spiritual people. When people are around gurus and masters and things like this, and they see some human aspect to them, and they, their opinion of the person sinks way below what the person actually deserves because they put them on a pedestal, their own creation. Like this person has their own personal Jesus, right? And that's, that song by Depeche Mode, But lots of people have their own personal Jesus or their own personal Buddha or their own personal master in the heartfulness system. People have their own version of what they're seeing that is, that makes them feel warm and fuzzy inside as an ego, something that they warp into something that their ego will accept, and instead of seeing what's really there. But anyways, in the heartfulness system, the masters of the system are a guide, and they're not there to give you orders about your personal life. In fact, they want to avoid it. They're hesitant to give anybody advice because it's one of the teachings of the first master was don't give anybody advice, right? And that teaching has been expanded on, and I'm not going to talk about that here, but it's an interesting, there's interesting points about it. But the masters of the heartfulness system are there to, number one, act as an example. Actually, that's number two. Number one is that you feel their energy and you feel their consciousness and you get a sense and you see somebody who has reached the goal that you're trying to reach. So it gives you, an idea of what it feels like. And that's what the transmission is. I mean, that's the most important part of the heartfulness system, that the master of the system who has merged back into the source and they're able to transmit back from that place, which is a unique achievement. And it hasn't been obtained by anybody else before on planet Earth. What's available now in the heartfulness system. It is a breakthrough, right? It is 4-minute mile. It's the perpetual motion machine. Things that, crack the code and now it's opened up for other humans to achieve. So number one, what the masters of the heartfulness system do is allow you to feel what it's like and see somebody and be around the consciousness and receive this energy, the transmission, and feel it. So now that you can, get a taste of what your goal is, what you can achieve yourself, which is a, wonderful gift. The second thing, I guess, is part of that would be the cleaning, right? The cleaning of people's hearts, which is really part of the, first one, transmission, and remove the spiritual grossness and help plot a course for the people to, shed their spiritual grossness and then be able to feel God's presence and connect to God internally in ways they couldn't without the cleaning. And number three was to, act as an example and in terms of behaviors and things that come from that place. And so you can have, an idea how to build your character and whatever. And so, it's to help people plot a course along this, their own personal, I guess they're all kind of the same thing in one way or another. But number four would be to lead you as a guide along your path. And again, you have people in the West who will, take teaching from people and they'll have coaches and people like that. But they have a resistance to spiritual training, which is laughable. And it's here in this person's comment, because people are like, you wouldn't go someplace without your GPS or have a map. You don't wander around and hope to get someplace. You don't go from New York to California and just start driving and hope you make it there. You have to get some sort of directions and map. And before there was phones, cell phones and GPS and all these things, we had to look at maps. Somebody else wrote a map and you had to trust the map that they wrote, or you would ask people for directions, which you're, following these people who could be leading you astray, right? But in terms of the spiritual world, where everything is abstract and internal, and there's no real clear roadmap, and so only a person who's successfully achieved their spiritual goal themselves, because you need somebody who's, reached the pinnacle of spiritual achievement to help guide you along the path. And that's just, the way it is with anything, but especially with spirituality. In India, they have this guru culture, which it has its own problems, where they grow up looking for somebody like a spiritual master or guide or somebody to help them. And the spiritual world, which is positive because at least there's no resistance to that idea, but it's negative because more often than not they find somebody who's a complete scam artist who takes their money and leads them astray and maybe even causes spiritual problems for them. And so people in the West resist getting spiritual training. There's just this know-it-all, resistance to authority in America, which I have and I've struggled with in, various ways. People have, are rebellious against authority. And so, you have all these know-it-alls who don't achieve anything because they're trying to do it individualistically in every sphere, and they don't want to accept guidance and training or whatever it is. And that's, it's a part of the entitlements of, the punky American culture, right? Immature, adolescent, people who are grown adults who are emotionally still in 8th grade or in high school. But then this guy did a double whammy of things I've said over and over again, don't do. I'm not interested. I don't take complaints, don't take advice, aren't looking for your opinion. They aren't looking for feedback. And this person literally says they're giving me advice like they're some, knower, when I can clearly see they're not. Like if this person had a YouTube channel, or even if I met them, I wouldn't want to talk to them. And I certainly wouldn't ask them for advice, right? Like it's somebody not going in the right direction themselves, limited and remedial, But, I'm going to give you some advice. Just, I'm doing this out of the goodness of my heart. Well, I've said before, don't do that. Don't comment on these things, complaints, whatever. Just go. Like I'm not, I've made it perfectly clear to people. I'm not here for subscribers or, having the most people. I don't pander to my audience. I like to make videos that I like to make, right? Maybe in the beginning I had to cultivate my videos. I mean, certainly making celebrity videos wasn't my choice, and this was something, God clearly instructed me to do, and I've accepted it and get some enjoyment out of it. And I'm able to weave in the spiritual messages, and I've talked about this in past videos. But I make videos about the things I like to make videos about, and I talk about the things I want to talk about. And I, have what I consider a solution, not my solution, but this idea of connecting to God inside, which I believe is the only solution. And I talk about it quite consistently, and I don't have to repeat it here, but it's something I like to talk about. And, I do. And if you don't like it, leave, right? Like that's, the price of admission. You're not doing anything for me. Like this isn't some, again, like, all right, great, you unsubscribe, you don't watch my videos. I mean, oh, well, I'm not saying it's a good thing, but it certainly isn't a bad thing. It's better for both of us. Just move on. I've said it over and over again. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to complain. I don't have a complaint department. And this person chose to do it in epic fashion with a complete inability to self-perceive and understand that everything that he's saying that I do, he's doing on a much worse level. Because the indoctrination he got by his religion comes from men, and not good men, not spiritual men, who have warped the message of Jesus and, the Old Testament, which is a horrible book and presents God in the worst possible way. It's not really God that's talked about in the Old Testament. It's like a demon or something. It's not, divinity. God's petty, arrogant, murderous, vengeful. I mean, it's for lower level people. It's for barbaric people, to have just a concept of something higher than them. And it's, for people who are on the lowest level of human consciousness. And if that's all you can do, fine, but don't disparage other people from doing what they're doing. I've said this over and over again. I don't go to other religious people's channels or atheist channels or Satanist channels or Democratic or Republicans channels or any of these things or any social media people and criticize their view. Like I, mock people and make fun of them on my channel. If they come here and they watch it, well, that's on them, right? I'm not doing it for them, and I'm not, trying to make contact with them, and I'm not giving them advice or, criticizing them personally. I'm doing it for my audience and what I see in terms of, these people that have been put out there in what I call the show. And it is, my assessment of it. And what happens to people when they take a demonic approach to life, big egos, and go for wealth and fame and fortune and things like this, without balancing it out with a spiritual relationship, an internalized relationship with God. And like I said before in a recent video, there's many people who do the Christian religion who like, that they can go out and behave in a certain way and that they'll be, rescued in the sense of they think Jesus died for their sins. And there's a level of, spiritual irresponsibility here. They give you a free pass where you're like, oh, good. Like, I get a free pass. I mean, there's these promises of heaven and things in all these major religions, but in spirituality, you have to earn it, right? And one of the ways you earn it is not be a douche, right? Like, don't leave comments on people's channels like this and expect people to have a good idea of what you do, right? What your practice is. Like, do you think Jesus is happy about this guy leaving the comment, or even the people that run his religion? That you go out and you harass people in the name of your religion, or in the name of Jesus, or in the name of God, and you wonder why people are leaving your religion because of this type of behavior. Like, it just doesn't work. And I say that about the truth community. Stop harassing people, stop trolling people, stop arguing with people. Like, you look at these people and you dislike them, and then you go try to form a relationship with them by trolling them and by getting into a dialogue with them. Like, when I see people I don't like, which is quite often, I, avoid them, right? I'm like, I don't want that person in my life, right? You go out of your way to avoid them instead of spamming them and complaining to them and, all these things that people do. And then coming back and watching my videos after you've been banned and after I've, destroyed one of your stupid comments, you still come here because there's something good, instead of, realizing there's something good going on here that you want to be a part of, but you're too, blocked or whatever to do it in a, gracious way. And so you do it like a, in some like little bitchy way, right? And so it doesn't, benefit anybody. Come back when you're mature enough to express your feelings and emotions, and you can see things the way they are instead of the way that you like them to be. So that comment was to a video called Big Doings MNFers, which I believe is the one that I talked about the idea of Guru Purnima Day. And so this person writes from a video entitled, "We Pass the Point of No Return for Doomsday." And the person who is somebody who they have one of those red boxes, which means that they are people who watch my videos they've subscribed for a long time and watch the videos. And the person says, "You are bringing me down on purpose, and I do not like it. Are you controlled opposition? ? I'm out of here." I'm bringing you down on purpose. Like, and there's a bunch of people that say thank you right below it. Excellent commentary. Thank you, Brother Paul. Stay grateful. Thank you, Paul. There's, to the same video. And so the title of the video said Doomsday Point of No Return. Like, it was like there was no deception there, and I didn't, wasn't thinking about this person specifically. Like, I noticed that they had a check mark next to their name, but there was somebody that I know. Like, people that have a generic, icon, profile picture, and don't comment regularly. I don't, I have no idea you're watching, right? But so I'm not like specifically targeting individuals unless it's a comment video. I might be bringing you down now if you didn't live by "I'm out of here," which you said you did. You said, "I'm out of here." And if you came back, well, that's on you. But this person watched a video that was entitled "We've passed the point of no return for Doomsday," and then they got bummed out because they thought I was personally taking them down, and somehow this makes me controlled opposition. And controlled opposition, one of their tools is false hope. They present false hope. Controlled opposition people present false hope that you can somehow fix the system, or they take you on a diversion path, right? I'm saying that there is a spiritual way out of this thing, and then there's embracing the changes and then building something better on the other side through your connection to God and the heartfulness meditation, all the things I talk about. Okay, so here's another person who's giving me unwanted advice. Because I talked about, in my video, I talked about how I switched mics to a cordless mic. And I'll show a picture. Hopefully I can get a picture and show it here of me holding the microphone. If I forget, I forget. But I might put you might be looking at a picture right now. and get a little bit more understanding. But I looked at various mics. So I used to have a headset, right? Well, first let's read this person's comment. Why do you hold your mic? You could easily set it up so you don't have to worry about that, or to have less clutter, you could just attach a lavalier to your shirt. So why do you think you know more than me about this? Like, what would make you think you know anything about this? Like, you have any sense of the way I make videos? This is, again, I didn't ask you for this. I didn't say, hey, people who don't do this job, newbie, hey, newbie, who doesn't know anything about my job, and I've been doing this, I don't know, I've had this YouTube channel since 2007, so that's 14 years. And then, the way I make videos here, and this person says they know more, right? I don't ask for directions from people who are going in the wrong direction. Like, I don't know where I'm going, right? That's why I didn't say, please leave your stupid suggestions here. Again, I don't know how many times I have to re-say this. And just to understand the stupidity of this person's suggestions, I used to, if you go back to my old videos, when I made these types of voiceover videos, I used a headset. And the quality of the audio and my voice sounds so much different and worse there. And there's still problems with, there's always problems. The reason I switched from having a corded mic to a cordless mic was because the cord was just always there. It's just laying there, and it gets sort of, it bangs against the computer, the laptop, or my lap, and it would make sound. Sound would come from that, and there'd be interference from that. And the cord was just there, and my, dogs are often on the bed with me making videos. See, I make videos on my bed, right? And so if I was at a desk and I had some sort of podcast setup where people have their mics on some sort of, mechanical arm or something like this, and they put the mic in front of them, that would work, but not for me. That works for some people. But, like I'm sort of casual and laid back. I get into a relaxed state. I'm sitting up on my bed. I have the laptop. My laptop sometimes is on my lap, but mostly it's sitting off to the side. The farther away from me, the better. And now that I have a mic without a cord, it's great. But sometimes when I'm making a long video, my hand will get tired and drop down and rest on my, leg or whatever it is, right? My belly or something. And the bottom of the mic where the Bluetooth is would cause some interference, and that was what making the sound, right, that people heard. And so now I just have to be more conscious of not having my mic, drop. But I'm talking here it's 32 minutes. It's longer than that because I have to stop and pause and edit out things that are a mistake. Sometimes I'm making videos about something. I'm looking at the computer and I'm using a screen capture type of software where now I'm using Adobe's Audition, and I'm just doing a long voiceover here. And usually I do both. I use both of those audio, some way of capturing my audio on both of those methods. And when I'm doing the screen flow part where I'm, showing documents and I'm using the big giant cursor, I'm having to go from browser to browser and tab to tab. And sometimes I have to look something up and hit pause, whatever it might be. So having the microphone, if it was, having my head in the right position, because the microphone would trail off, the audio will sound different. It sucks when the audio has different levels. Sometimes when I'm recording a video, the video will be louder or softer than my voiceover and then my recording. I have to edit all those things and bring them together. It's just a pain in the ass. It's the thing I like least about doing this job. And so for all those reasons, it's best for me to hold the microphone like I do and then just, remember not to have it, whatever it is, right? But this person doesn't know any of that because, they really probably don't know anything, but they just want to be a knower and give advice. It's not helpful, and it's annoying. And, sometimes I'm recording for a couple hours to make the whole video. And so, that gets tedious. And this person, when they say this thing about the lavalier, the person wrote this, or you can have less clutter, you could just attach a lavalier to your shirt. Now, if you've ever heard one of those lavaliers, right, and they create interference because your chin will bang against it, or your shirt will move, and that creates interference. So you don't know what you're talking about, right? It's the same problem, and they don't have as good quality. The handheld mic I have is a big instrument, right? It's something that's got a lot more technology in it than the lavalier. In fact, there's a lavalier option for the kind of mic I have, and I was watching reviews on it before I bought it because I do this as a job, right? And the person tried all the different options and said the mic was a much better sound quality than the lavalier, right? So, like you do nothing, like you struck out, you whiffed like, on every one of these. It's just a waste of time, and it's annoying. And that's why I say, if you're a professional audio person, but somebody said I should get an equalizer, and like you're just gonna have to suffer through the audio, because I had an equalizer before when I was in India. It was a pain in the ass with a laptop, and it still there was interference and there was problems with audio gain. The equalizer just made things more complicated and was just one more thing hanging out on my bed. That was before I had dogs, And so again, swing and a frickin' miss. Okay, so this one is more of a question. The person writes, throwing it out there, Paul, how much would it be for a 5-minute conversation? I live in the UK, genuine question. I know that there are these, internet celebrities and regular celebrities that get paid for showing up at a virtual event, or, they at somebody's birthday party or something like this, or whatever it is. An appearance fee, or being able to talk to one of these people, you can pay money, and, they have these various fees for that. I didn't consider that for myself, but I was just thinking about it in general, that it's a weird thing, right? Like, how much money does it cost to be able to talk to you, right? How much you charge to talk to somebody? Because pretty much my whole life I've been talking to people for free. And, but it seems like an odd, it's the problem with celebrity culture. I started to redo my counseling idea, but it just didn't work out, and I'm not really very good at it. And, I just, this is what I do best. And like, how much more information could I provide? Like, there's not very much left to say for me, right? And so I don't know what the value in that would be for people. And, I've decided, or just worked out that way, this is the best use of my time and energy in terms of making these videos. It's the easiest thing for me to do. It's something that I'm in a habit, a role, I have a system, right? And so, it doesn't take a lot of thinking on my part in terms of making the videos or just any of it. It's the, easiest way I have of, getting some sort of information out there. And, I don't do interviews, and I don't, change the format drastically to my videos for that reason, because, it's pretty much streamlined at this point, and I just can't spend the time on individual conversations and individual interactions, answering questions and things. And really, I don't have any desire to do so. So this was just somebody's funny comment. I talked about Ben Shapiro, and that time he, was talking about WAP, Cardi B, and he went to his wife and asked her about WAP, wet, wet P word. And Ben Shapiro's wife told him, "Don't worry about that, dear. It's not going to affect you." And this person wrote a comment to that saying, "Hilarious Ben Shapiro video. I hear Polar Express is what his wife calls him." And so I compared him to the annoying kid on the Polar Express. So, so there's that. Well, I thought there was more comments, but I guess that's it. Some of them must have been older. I want to, delete that file. There's just for memory purposes. There's, I'm not against having help or having people, give me pointers or something that's useful, right? And when there's something like that, I often would put it out to the community, and I get all kinds of responses that were completely unhelpful, right? Just a waste of time. I would say, if you don't know the answer to this question, don't answer it. Don't comment at all. Just please, answer this question. And people couldn't do it. Like, it just, And so that's why I really don't do that anymore, right? I mean, there's ways that people could be helpful there's ways that people are helpful now when they send me links to things I'm going to use in videos. But I say it over and over again. People send me links to things I'm either not going to cover, or I think they're just sending it to me like I want to spend time watching something. When I am doing anything to do with this truth community stuff, it's about making a video. If I'm not making a video, I don't really look into things. Like I just glance at them or whatever. If I'm not going to cover it, I don't need to know because it's just, I've already made my decisions, right? Like I've made my decision on the path I'm going to follow, and the role that I'm playing here has already been, it's been pretty much defined, right? I mean, I'm in the back half of my life. I got another 30 years, maybe, whatever it is, right? Maybe less, maybe more, I don't know. But not so many good working years. And so I'm going to, ride this thing out and play my purpose, perform my task, my role, the work I'm supposed to do, which is, like I said, pretty well defined. And the best way that people can be helpful is to send links to things. I mean, when I use your link in a video, that means that you've done some kind of, you've helped me out and you've cut out some time period where I have to do research and find the thing on my own. So anybody sending me something, when I use it in a video, that's something that I'm grateful for. I mean, some people are just good at figuring out how to help other people, or they're good at giving gifts. They just are good at looking at somebody else and getting them and getting what they need. Sometimes they perform a task or they do something for somebody else. They get them a present, they get them a gift, and the person doesn't like it at first, the receiver of the gift, but years later they come to really appreciate it. The other person, saw something in the person they're getting the gift for or performing the task for that the other person didn't see, right? And that's, there's quality people like that. But most people just want to dump their advice or whatever they think the other person should be. Oh, you should be like this, or you should talk about this, or you should think about it this way, or whatever it is, right? I make comments like that all the time. And I'm like, why would anybody listen to you? Like, you're not likable, right? You're not insightful. You just want to mold the world in your myopic view. You want everyone to conform to the way that you see the world. That's what the controllers do, right? Like, I have faith in the divine system that everyone's going to get what they deserve. It's not up to me to administer it. And it's not up to me to save people or correct them. I put this information out there, and maybe it's helpful for people, maybe it's not. But once I, release the video, it's out of my hands. And, and as it should be. Only spirituality will save this world. It's Paramano, definitely reporting from the Apocalaughs and the Ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.